fog upon the harbor, silver light across the bay. I can hear the gulls still calling, like they called me yesterday. Silver nets and salted air, morning fog on weathered stairs. My father's boat still rocks somewhere in the harbor I once knew. Gulls would cry my name at dawn, before the tide, before the sun. Now so many years have gone, but I still hear them calling me. Take me back to the silver nets, to the dock where the old tide rests, to the house beside the harbor line, where that little light still shines. Take me back where the lanterns swing, where the old men laugh and the young girls sing. Back to the only home I know, the only place my heart calls home. I traded tides for city steel, traded gull cries for wheels, but nothing there could ever feel like the wind across that bay. I watched the fishermen mend their lines with weathered hands so much like mine, and I knew somewhere beyond the time a part of me had stayed. Take me back to the silver nets, to the dock where the old tide rests, to the house beside the harbor line, where that little light still shines. Take me back where the lanterns swing, where the old men laugh and the young girls sing. Back to the only home I know, the only place my heart calls home. Now my hands are rope worn thin, salt and years upon my skin. All the words I never sent still smell like rain and brine. If I could walk that pier once more, hear those footsteps by the shore, I'd call every old friend's name and leave this wandering life behind. When they lay me in the ground, don't bring the city's hollow sound. Let the tide come turning round and carry me back home. Bury me where the nets are hung, where the old fishing songs are sung, in the tongue I knew when I was young, in the village of my kin. Take me back to the silver nets, to the dock where the old tide rests, to the house beside the harbor line, where that little light still shines. Take me back where the lanterns swing, step. When my wandering days are through, let the tide bring me back to you. Silver nets in the evening light, old harbor fading into night. If the sea remembers me, I'll find my way home.
Black dust settled on the hill. The whistle blew at 6:30. My father walked the same old mill his father walked before. The mountains wore a hollow crown, smoking coal and gray old town. But every night when the sun went down, I loved that place the more. Sing me a coal dust lullaby under that low Kentucky sky, where the miners' lamps still catch my eye like fireflies in the dark. Sing me the song my mother hummed while the evening train still comes. Carry me home to where I'm from, back to that hollow's heart. I left the shaft, I left the flame, I left the town that knew my name, for city lights that look the same on every single street. No mountain here to hold the mist, no porch, no supper, no goodnight kiss, just concrete underneath my feet, where the mockingbirds don't sing. Sing me a coal dust lullaby under that low Kentucky sky, where the miners' lamps still catch my eye like fireflies in the dark. Sing me the song my mother hummed while the evening train still comes. Carry me home to where I'm from, back to that hollow's heart. I still cough the mountain air, still see my father's easy chair, still smell the biscuits rising there on a Sunday morning stove. The company took the hills away, but not the words I used to say, not the love, not the yesterday that lives in me like an oath. So
So if you pass that valley road where the church bell rings and the old bridge holds, tell them a miner's heart still folds toward that hollow every day. I may never climb that hill again, may never breathe that dusk-lit wind, but the boy I was still lives within the only home I've ever known. Sing me a coal dust lullaby under that low Kentucky sky, where the miners' lamps still catch my eye like fireflies in the dark. Sing me the song my mother hummed while the evening trains still come. Carry me home to where I'm from. Carry me home, carry me home, back to that hollow's heart.
Paddy fields turn gold in fall. My mother's voice would rise and call across the field, across it all, to bring the harvest in. The water buffalo, slow and kind, the dragonflies in evening light. I carried that whole world behind these city walls I'm in. Oh, paddy fields in gold, oh, the story that you hold. Hold the girl who used to fold her hands in prayer at dusk. Oh, paddy fields in gold, I am tired, I am old, with a homesickness that I hold like a promise, like a trust. I came here with a single case, a photograph, my mother's face, a train ticket and no trace of where the road would end. The city gave me steel and speed, gave me hunger, gave me need, but never gave the quiet seed of home I can't pretend. Oh, paddy fields in gold, oh, the story that you hold. Hold the girl who used to fold her hands in prayer at dusk. Oh, paddy fields in gold, I am tired, I am old, with a homesickness that I hold like a promise, like a trust. I call my mother every week, her voice grows thin tells me how the river's low, how the young have gone, how slow the village turns without its youth, and I cry alone, and that's the truth. For a home that's fading like the light across a field at end of night. Someday I'll go back for good, walk the path where I once stood, plant my feet in that same mud where my whole life began. Till then I hold the gold I knew, the field, the sky, the mother's view, and every star that ever grew above that quiet land. Oh, paddy fields in gold, hold the story that you hold. Hold the girl who used to fold her hands in prayer at dusk. Oh, paddy fields in gold, I am tired, I am old, with a homesickness that I hold, that I hold, that I hold. Like a promise, like a trust.
Standing in the snow, smoke curled up from the chimney low. The sled dogs barked, the fires would glow in the village where I grew. My father's axe against the frost, the sound of home I've somehow lost. Among the streets I never chose, among the strangers new. White pine, white snow, tell me, do the northern winds still blow through the valley that I used to know before I went away? White pine, white snow, carry me back to the fire's glow, to the only home I'll ever know, no matter where I stay. The city snow just turns to gray, melts to slush within a day. Nothing like the white that lay for months across our hill. I miss the silence thick and deep, the kind that helps a whole town sleep, the kind of quiet I still keep inside me, keep it still. White pine, white snow, tell me, do the northern winds still blow through the valley that I used to know before I went away? White pine, white snow, carry me back to the fire's glow, to the only home I'll ever know, no matter where I stay. I hear the sleigh bells in my dreams, the frozen river cracked at seams, my mother's mittens red and warm, the sound of the old church horn Christmas Eve, on New Year's morn. These are the things a man can't leave, even when his body's gone 1,000 miles from home. Someday when my hands are old, when the city's lost its hold, I'll walk again through that white coal back to my father's door. And if I never make it there, just scatter me in northern air. Let me fall like snow somewhere close to that frozen shore. White pine, white snow, tell me, do the northern winds still blow through the valley that I used to know before I went away? White pine, white snow, carry me back to the fire's glow, to the only home I'll ever know, I'll ever know, I'll ever know, no matter where I stay. Wind over the dunes at dusk, the color of my mother's shawl, the camel bells, the caravan trust, the stars that knew us all. We slept beneath the roof of sky, no walls to keep the world outside, just fire and song and family tied to sand that stretched and stretched. Wind over the dunes, carry my name back to the place I came, back to the fire, back to the flame my grandfather used to keep. Wind over the dunes, carry me home. I've walked this city long alone. I still remember where I'm from, even in my sleep. The city has no open sky, just glass that climbs and climbs so high. No stars to guide you, no reason why. The streets all look the same. I trade my tent for a rented room. I trade the dusk for city gloom. But some nights still I hear the tune my grandmother would sing my name. Wind over the dunes, carry my name back to the place I came, back to the fire, back to the flame my grandfather used to keep. Wind over the dunes, carry me home. I've walked this city long alone. I still remember where I'm from, even in my sleep. They say the young don't wander now. The caravan signs have all gone still, but I still feel that ancient vow inside me waiting, restless, real. Some nights I climb the highest roof just to see one open star, just to feel some kind of proof that home's not really far. One day I'll cross the sand again, find the well my people knew, teach my children where and when the old world stories grew. Until that day I hold the wind, I hold the fire deep within, I hold the home that never ends, no matter where I roam. Wind over the dunes, carry my name back to the place I came, back to the fire, back to the flame my grandfather used to keep. Wind over the dunes, carry me home. I've walked this city long alone. I still remember where I'm from, where I'm from, where I'm from. Even in my sleep,
there's a lighthouse on the tide where my father used to keep the flame alive on the darkest nights to guide the ships to sleep. I grew up counting every beam that swept across my window pane. I thought the whole world was that gleam, turning home again. Lighthouse on the tide, still shine, still turn your light through the dark for me. I may be gone, but I'm still bound by the light I used to see. Lighthouse on the tide, still shine somewhere out past the mainland shore. A part of me will always climb those 100 steps and more. The mainland's loud, the mainland's fast, no tide to tell me when to rest. I miss the silence of the past, the salt wind on my chest. I hear my father's steady hand still climbing up that spiral stair. I hear the bell along the sand that used to call me there. Lighthouse on the tide, still shine, still turn your light through the dark for me. I may be gone, but I'm still bound by the light I used to see. Lighthouse on the tide, still shine somewhere out past the mainland shore. A part of me will always climb those 100 steps and more. They say the lighthouse keeper's gone, the lights run automatic now, but I still feel that steady dawn each time I as my father's tired hands. No beam has ever guided who I am. Wherever I land, someday I'll cross the water back, climb the stairs my father made, watch the sun fall along the track of light that never fades. Until that day, I hold the beam deep inside my chest, my own, a lighthouse burning in a dream of the only home I've known. Lighthouse on the tide, still shine, still turn your light through the dark for me. I may be gone, but I'm still bound by the light I used to see. Lighthouse on the tide, still shines somewhere out past the mainland shore. A part of me will always climb, will always climb, will always climb those 100 steps and more.
Station's boarded up for good. The tracks are rust where they once stood, but I remember how they would sing beneath the evening train. My whole town rose to greet that sound, lanterns swinging all around, whistle blowing through the ground like a heartbeat, not in vain. Blow me one more whistle, oh, call me back the way I used to go, back to the town that time let go, back to the tracks of home. Blow me one more whistle slow, let the steam rise white as snow, carry me where I used to know, the only place I've known. I worked that line for 30 years, watched it rust through empty years, watched the town dissolve in tears as the last train rolled on through. Now I sit in a city flat where nothing moves the way it should. No whistle calls, no engines chat, just silence through and through. Blow me one more whistle low, call me back the way I used to go, back to the town that time let go, back to the tracks of home. Blow me one more whistle slow, let the steam rise white as snow, carry me where I used to know.
the only place I've known. I still wake up at 5 somehow, still reach for boots that aren't there now, still hear the coupling clank and bow like some old faithful friend. They tore the station down for good, sold the land where the platform stood, but a part of me still stands there, would stand there till the end. If you should pass that empty track where the wildflowers now grow back, tell them a railway man came back in every dream he had. I may not walk that platform more, may not hear that engine roar, but the whistle echoes evermore inside this heart, not sad, just glad. Blow me one more whistle low, call me back the way I used to go, back to the town that time let go, back to the tracks of home. Blow me one more whistle slow, let the steam rise white as snow, carry me where I used to know, I used to know, I used to know, the only place I've known. I was born beside the river's bend, where the water never seemed to end. My father's boat, my only friend, tied up beneath the willow tree. The morning mist would rise so slow, the fishermen would call and row, and every ripple seemed to know exactly who I'd come to be. Carry me, river, carry me home, back to the banks where I used to roam, back to the water, back to the foam that cradled me as a child. Carry me, river, carry me slow, back to the only place I know, back to the town where the willows grow, soft and green and wild. I left the river for the road, left the boat, left the only load my heart has ever truly known how to carry, how to hold. The city's rivers run through pipes, gray and hidden out of sight. Nothing like the silver light that turned our water gold. Carry me, river, carry me home, back to the banks where I used to roam, back to the water, back to the foam that cradled me as a child. Carry me, river, carry me slow, back to the only place I know, back to the town where the willows grow, soft and green and wild. I still hear my mother's call across the water, soft and small. Still see my father standing tall against the setting sun. The river doesn't ask you why you leave, it doesn't wonder how. It just keeps flowing, patient, slow, waiting for you now. Someday I'll find my way back down, past the fields, past the sleeping town, untie the boat that my father found, tied beneath that willow tree. And if the years have worn it through, I'll build another strong and true, and float again beneath the blue, the way I used to be. Carry me, river, carry me home, back to the banks where I used to roam, back to the water, back to the foam that cradled me as a child. Carry me, river, carry me slow, back to the only place I know, the only place I know, soft and green and wild. Orchard in October light, apples heavy, red and bright. My grandmother sang through the night, while the harvest baskets filled. The hills wore gold like a wedding dress. The air smelled sweet with quiet rest, and every evening felt like a blessed moment, softly stilled. Orchard in October, wait for me, hold your branches patiently, let the apples fall like memory onto the autumn ground. Orchard in October, call me home. I have wandered long alone, but my heart still walks that hillside sown. With everything I found.
harvest for a desk, traded sunlight for fluorescent glow, traded orchard grass for city dust, and a rhythm I don't know. No bell to mark the end of day, no basket full, no field to lay my tired body down and say, the work is finished now. Orchard in October, wait for me. Hold your branches patiently. Let the apples fall like memory onto the autumn ground. Orchard in October, call me home. I have wandered long alone, but my heart still walks that hillside sown with everything I found. My grandmother's gone now, but I swear some October evenings in the air I catch the smell of apple pie, and I don't know why I start to cry. Right there upon the crowded street, right there beneath my tired feet, the hillside calling out to me across the miles, across the years. Someday I'll climb that hill again, walk the rows where I began, pick the fruit with my own hand, the way she taught me how. And even if the trees have grown taller than the girl I've known, I'll still call that orchard home. I'll still remember now. Orchard in October, wait for me. Hold your branches patiently. Let the apples fall like memory onto the autumn ground. Orchard in October, call me home. I have wandered long alone, but my heart still walks that hillside sown with everything I found. That hillside sown with everything I found.
Smoke over the mill at dawn. The horn would blow and the town moved on. My father's shift, then mine, then gone. Like the fire in that old machine. streets were loud. The whole town breathed like a living crowd. And every worker walked so proud beneath that smokestack scene. Smoke over the mill, rise again. Carry me back to the town I'm from, back to the home, back to the hum of the only life I've known. Smoke over the mill, don't fade away, even if the furnace has gone gray. Carry the heart of yesterday back to me, back home. They shut the gates 10 years ago. The town got quiet, the town got slow. The young folks left for jobs unknown in cities far and wide. I stayed as long as I could stand, then followed with an empty hand to a city that don't understand a mill town's kind of pride. Smoke over the mill, rise again. Carry me back to the town I'm from, back to the home, back to the hum of the only life I've known. Smoke over the mill, don't fade away, even if the furnace has gone gray. Carry the heart of yesterday back to me, back home. I still wake up when the horn should blow, still reach for boots I used to know, still feel the heat against my face from a furnace long replaced. They say the mill is a museum now, glass and plaques where the fire was, but I remember the sweat, the vow we made to one another, because that town was built on us, on calloused hands and iron trust. And even though the smoke is gone, the town still lives in me. So when I'm gone, don't cry too long, just hum that old machine's low song, and know a piece of me belongs to the smoke over that factory. Smoke over the mill, rise again. Carry me back to the town I'm from, back to the home, back to the hum of the only life I've known. Smoke over